Hey, what's up guys? This is Larry with Double Dog Bushcraft. Today, what I want to do is I want to talk about my ridgeline and guy line system. This is an extremely fast system and I'm super excited about it. So let's get into it. Starting with the guy line. Now this is 30 foot of paracord. I have 4 pressic loops and 1 bowline knot at the very end, and connect to all of my pressic loops and my bowline knot are these hooks. And I got these hooks. I spent a lot of time looking for the right hooks, and these are what I like. These were door latch hooks that I got off Amazon. I think I got a 20 pack for maybe $10–20. But what I've done is I've gotten rid of all the other hardware. I'm going to use that for another project, and I took the hook and I just bent it inwards just like that, and that gives me the perfect hook for what I'm doing. And I'm going to explain why this one works so good versus some of your carabiners and other types of hooks that you might find out there. So it is wrapped up in a hank of paracord. And a hank, from what I understand, this is how they wrap up parachutes, because you can pull it out in one continuous strand and it is not going to knot up on you. I'm going to show you that. But first, let me show you how I use this ridgeline. I'm going to use these 2 posts to be my trees. So I start by taking all of these loops and I'm going to pull them away from this end. I just want this end for right now. This is my first tree. I'm going to go around that tree, and with the hook, I'm going to hook that paracord. And so that side's done. Now, I'm going to hold tension on there so it don't fall down. And all I want is 1 of these pressic loops. And I'll bring this over close to my second tree. I want a little bit of space because my cord will stretch. Now I can hook the paracord just like that. And the reason I like these hooks is because they're just the right size for me to do this. I'm going to take that paracord and I'm going to go around a second time. And then when I pull, it binds up on itself. So it's holding tension right now. And just to be safe, I'm going to put 1 slippery half hitch right there, just so I know that that isn't going to come loose. Now what we've got left are these 3 pressic loops with hooks on them. Now I can take these hooks and hook 2 sides of my tarp, and then I have an extra hook right in the middle for me to hang a lantern or flashlight or whatever I would need. When I'm done, I will pull that slippery half hitch out. I'm going to take this slack in the line and I'm going to pull away from my second tree, and then I'm going to take this hook and I'm going to flip it just like a switch, and then just like that it comes undone. Now once I'm all done with this ridge line, unhook it from the second tree. I'll bring all of my pressic loops to the end with that first hook. Let me get up close so you can see this. I'm going to let it dangle there. I hold it like that, and then I start going around the thumb and the pinky, just like that. I'm making crosses, figure 8s. And it doesn't matter if your paracord overlaps itself while you're doing this, because from the end you're pulling on, it is all going to come out safely without knotting. Now I'm holding this at about shoulder height. Now that the end of my paracord is just barely touching the ground, I'm going to carefully pull this off of my pinky and my thumb, get a grip on it, and then I'll start going around. I'm going to wrap maybe 1 or 2 times before I adjust my grip and switch to the other side. So I've got 2 wraps there, and I can start going around and wrapping the rest of this up. Now that I'm close to the end, just gonna open up a loop and go through it just like that. So everything is ready to go. And just like before, all I have to do is grab this end and pull it right out. The guy line system, and I've got 4 of them, is very, very similar. So I'm gonna start by grabbing this little red tab, and I'm gonna pull my tent stake right out of that hank. And it's good to go, no knots. And what I've done is I've fixed my line to the tent stake so that it's not gonna come apart. And just like before, I have a pressic loop with a hook at the end. Now, I wasn't able to feed 2 pieces of line through that little hole. So what I did was I made the pressic loop going through the hook. And then to secure it, I just did an overhand knot to keep it from jumbling around, and it keeps it where I want it. The idea behind this is I can put my tent stake in the ground, stomp it in, do whatever I need to do, and then I have this adjustable hook. So when I'm ready, put that stake in the ground, I'll hook my tarp and then grab it from the knot and the loose end of the cord, and then I'll tighten it down. Simple as that, no knots. So let me go find some trees and I'll demonstrate some shelters. One last thing. How do I wrap this up when I'm done? So just like before, I'm gonna put it in my hand just like that, and I'm going to start making figure 8s around my thumb and my pinky. Now that I've got maybe 1.5 to 2 foot of slack at the very end, I carefully take this off. And then it's kind of tricky to keep everything out of the way at first. So I'll hold the hook out here so that it doesn't get wrapped up. And then I'll take the hank and I will place it in one of those 3 grooves going around the tent stake. So it's in that groove. I can hold it down. As long as everything's out of the way, I don't have that little red tab in my way or the hook, I can start wrapping just like this. I'll switch grip. Then I'll go the rest of the way. And once I get close to the end, make a loop or an opening and go through it. And that's good to go, and it's ready for the next run. All right, let me go find those trees. All right, guys, now there's a ton of different tarp configurations that I could do right now. There's lean-to, A-frame, plow point, fly, diagonal fly. I think I'm running out of daylight out here, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the most time-consuming one, and that's the fly. So let's get to it. And that's that. I'm all set up. Let's take a closer look at something. There's my tent stake, run the line. There's my prusik loop and my hook. Now, drop my phone in a spot where I can see. And all right, back to it. So, this guy line is special because I can make my adjustments and I don't have to do it down at the ground towards the stake. So, I'll just grab the knot and pull the line. Now I got plenty of tension. One thing that I did fail to mention that you may have noticed, these hooks are slightly different than the ones on my ridgeline. These hooks, I wanted them to be a little bit more open, and they are hanging hooks for little craft projects, maybe key rings and such, something to hang on the wall. And these tent stakes are by Wise Owl Outfitters. I believe it was 12 of them for $20. Not a bad deal at all. Okay, so while you're taking all this apart, you might run into this. I put a lot of tension on this line, and what you might find is it's difficult to get the paracord off of the hook. So let me show you how I've been doing it. I pull the line away from the tree and towards me, and then I orient it so that my hook is kind of angled down a little bit. Then I'm going to take that hook and I'm going to push it up while I'm pulling. And there it goes. Now the reason I like these hooks so much is because it is just the right size for one strand of paracord to fit in the belly of the hook. So when I put that loop on there and there's two pieces of cord in the hook, the one that I put more tension on is going to find its way into the belly of the hook. And that is how I get it to bind up on itself like that when I'm applying tension.